Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So we're sticking to getting private equity exposure into an institutional investor portfolio. But now we're going to assume that you have private equity in your portfolio. And what you would like to do is to test it a little bit. How resilient is your private equity portfolio? What should you expect if and when markets become a little bit strained? So the question you can ask as well is, what breaks first? So let's just quickly recap. Your private equity portfolio, what I've done so far, we went through the why, the how, and the what. We talked about why private equity plays a role in every investor's portfolio. How would you design a PE portfolio that is resilient? Using all the building blocks out there, being quite aware that the combination of those building blocks really matters. And finally, what are those building blocks actually? So really understand the individual, the granularity for secondaries, evergreen, and so on. And in the last talk, I told you about 3 portfolio archetypes, like examples on how portfolios can be built, just to give you a little bit of inspiration, if you like. So now, let's jump into stress testing. Stress testing future PE portfolio choices. So what I like to call this a pre-mortem. So what is a pre-mortem? Pre-mortem starts with the following question. Imagine 10 years from now, your board is asking you to close down your private equity allocation. Ask yourself, what would have had to happen in those 10 years leading up to it for you to be asked to get out of private capital? All right? So that's a pre-mortem. Imagine you're being closed down. What could be the reason for that? Now, obviously, there could be questions around liquidity, returns, governance, sustainability, ESG, and, pending what kind of LP you are, explainability to your constituents. So let me give you just a couple of examples. We will simply ask now, where could this being your PE portfolio, go wrong? Where are the risks? So why would we stress test a portfolio? Why is this a useful exercise? Because you may say to me, Claudia, look, I mean, this is a long-term investment. Why don't we just invest with the best intentions at heart, and then we'll see how it plans out? So number one, PE risk often surface only late, not immediately. That's the nature of long-term investing. Most issues arise from interactions between the tools, not from the tools themselves. So the question, how much do you do in secondaries? What is your expectation of evergreen exposure? And so on. Stress testing pretty much reveals whether your choices will be, or are right now already, defensible under pressure. And I mean by that, of course, market pressure. Now, what are we actually testing? We're testing, for example, for liquidity and cash flow behavior. Pending what the demand is on your side, this could be interesting. Governance, ESG, and overall decision-making under pressure. So who, for example, makes the decision to cut back on certain exposures or increase exposures if it's going well? Valuation, pricing, fee discipline, incentive structures on the GP side. That's basically what's clearly interesting, especially when it comes to explainability. And explainability to stakeholders. For example, in the last 5 years, we've seen basically ESG or sustainability targets being questioned. Very often very difficult to do. Why? Because they're not as measurable as your financial return, for example. Just one example. So let's run through a few scenarios. And the next few slides are really just what are we testing for as the title, and then a couple of questions for you to ask yourself if you want to test, for example, liquidity shocks. So liquidity shock may be that your, let's call it your public market portfolio has dropped Why? Because we're in 2008, or we're in 1997, or we're in the beginning of COVID, and you basically have now a much lower exposure to public markets than you have to private markets. That means the denominator effect, your percentage allocation to private markets, may now be above your target allocation. So now, how do we deal with this? That also may require that you are looking for liquidity in your private market portfolio. So when liquidity comes under pressure for whatever reason, the questions to ask are the following. What happens if your distributions all of a sudden fall very sharply for several years? We just saw that starting in 2022. 2022 to 2025 was one of those periods where exits were few and far in between. Hence, distributions from the GPs back to their LPs were at record lows. You want to know which building blocks help and which ones amplify the pressure on your liquidity needs. Where does decision-making focus? Does it focus at that point on the portfolio level or on the manager level? For example, encouraging managers to give you optionality through continuation funds and so on? Or do you just focus on your portfolio and the overall compilation thereof, at which point obviously becomes interesting how flexible your portfolio is? Second scenario. Imagine valuation conversations around fees and overall trust is being questioned. What are we actually testing? So what we're testing is basically on the valuation side, how much of your portfolio, your private equity portfolio, relies on model-based valuations. Please have a look at the evergreen conversations that we had. There are some conditions under which this becomes clearly a talking point. Which structures depend most on a stable NAV? Where could your confidence of your constituents erode, either internally or externally, when you're being questioned about the valuation in your private capital portfolio? A stress point example could be ESG-linked valuation assumptions. Sustainability-linked valuation assumptions are usually harder to defend when markets are under pressure. Scenario 3, governance failure. Which tools in your private equity portfolio require active governance, judgment, and escalation when things are not doing well? Usually those may be your co-investments, those may be your direct investments, and maybe to some extent some of your listed private equity tools. Where or when does the internal capacity become a constraint? How many people do you have that actually deal with governance questions? As your direct portfolio grows, naturally, the people that can manage those kind of situations in those portfolio companies, when tough decisions may need to be made, that pool of people will have to grow in parallel. What choices become irreversible under stress? And finally, scenario 4, explainability and reputation. Now, obviously, this may be a scenario not as relevant for a family office, which is obviously has a much smaller group of constituents that need to be satisfied and that need to know what is happening in the portfolio. It's a very different conversation when you are a very visible sovereign wealth fund, or when you are a pension plan and you regularly, quarterly or at least annually, have to report to your constituents. So there could be public critique, stakeholder critique. How would, you can ask yourself, for example, how would today's portfolio be explained in such a stressful environment? Which elements are hardest to justify ex post? It's usually the more complex ones, as a spoiler alert. Where do sustainability and financial outcomes conflict, if sustainability is one of your mandates and one of your targets? And how is that explained? How can you explain this today? So can basically the LP, can you, the investor, explain what just happened? who decided, who made that decision to make that investment many years ago, and how, for example, sustainability and fiduciary duties were weighed against each other. So the question that I asked on the first slide, what breaks first? Let me just give you a few thoughts around that. Liquidity expectations are usually the ones that break first. Not so much liquidity itself, but the expectation to have liquidity out of certain tools in your portfolio. Governance capacity, so the ability to govern if and when it's needed. Because in good times, the pressure on governance is extraordinarily low. Everything runs very well, you have a very easy life. But usually, when one portfolio company goes on life support, usually at the same time, there are a couple of other ones that need a little bit more attention, and at that point, capacity becomes a problem. It's not new ideas on investments that breaks. And ultimately, the coherence of your story, of your mandate, your narrative, not just the performance alone. When you are being questioned, we saw this particularly in 2018-19 when sustainability became a talking point in investment portfolios. Can companies, can investors do good and do well financially, was the question that was being asked. And I think this conversation continues until today. But again, your narrative around it, if and when those decisions are made, has to stack up. So obviously, from all those options that you put in your portfolio, that you use to build your private capital portfolio, having gone through a stress test, maybe just having used those questions to ask yourself how you would manage as an investor, leads you from options again to a point where you may want to take a decision. What does this imply for your PE strategy? Are any changes needed? Is anything not up to snuff, that stress test that asked you to do a pre-mortem? Again, it will always, there's no such thing as the perfect solution. It will always be about trade-offs, setting priorities, and asking yourself what basically the macroeconomic environment may look like in the next 5 to 10 years to come. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Your questions, please reach out to me or put the questions below the video. And we will have more conversations around the portfolio in a private equity investors environment. So please sign up below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thanks very much.